Welcome to the 14th season of the NitWits, a weekly roundtable discussion on the Penn State Nittany Lions. Our panel includes Neil Riddell of the Altoona Mirror, Mark Brennan of FightOnState.com, 1966 team captain Mike Irwin, and Casey Kantz of WTAJ Sports. The NitWits are brought to you by Irwin Financial, a firm foundation for your financial future. Coldwell Banker, no one will work harder to sell your home. By Doctors Howells and Reed, orthodontics for children and adults. By The Bookstore in the Park Hills Plaza, featuring the area's most complete selection of books, DVDs, and magazines. By Fiore True Value on 6th Avenue, Altoona. Just ask rental. By Pacifico's Bakery, genuine Italian bread and rolls for your tailgating needs. By the Altoona Professional Hearing Aid Center, your hearing aid healthcare professional. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your cleaning needs. Your rehab choice, Health South Altoona. Ask for us by name. By J&P Auto, home of the $1,000 push, pull, or tow. By Courtesy Motors of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal. By the Allegro, where fine cuisine is a way of life. By the easy-to-use Big Book. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State game day every Friday. You can also see the NitWits on AltoonaMirror.com.
All right, welcome inside another edition of the NitWits. Penn State takes down Ohio State at the Shoe Saturday, 20-14. Just the third win in 33 years in Columbus. Guys saw a different look to that Nittany Lion offense. The Wildcat was implemented there in that first half, and it gave them a spark. It really did.
The biggest offensive breakout since 1964 when this man took the team into Columbus and knocked off the #2 team in the country. I thought it was really one of the gutsy, given everything they've been through,
yes,
really one of the gutsiest performance in Penn State history.
Yeah, I really thought we were going to see some sort of emotional letdown from these guys. After all they had gone through, as Neil said, for them to come out and play the way they did, really, just a tip of the cap to the players. It was unbelievable. And also the coaching staff. We give out grades, and I gave an A to that coaching staff because even though it wasn't a perfect game, to have those guys ready to play and to come out and introduce some new wrinkles and let them have a little bit of fun, I just thought it was all around a great performance for Penn State.
Mike?
I think Tom Bradley has made a great transition from assistant coach to head coach, and he's made some changes already. I mean, right away McGloin's the starting quarterback, but putting in that Wildcat offense, I mean, he's making some innovations, and it seems like he's the right guy for the job down there right now. It seems everything he touches, first thing he did was call Paterno and told him that they had asked him to take over. So I think he just handled this thing real well.
What I like about what Tom has done is he has really acted decisively. I mean, it took him basically an hour or so to decide we have to have a starting quarterback and it'd be Matt McGloin. Then he puts it, they go down in 4th and 1. A lot of people felt maybe they should have taken the points there, go up 2 scores. I think that was a statement for the players. But what I liked was it didn't take the play clock winding down, timeout, in and out. I think he's been very decisive.
I'm sorry, but Casey, he's been waiting for this moment his whole life. And let's face it, I mean, this could well be a 3-game, trial to see if he's fit to be the coach. Now, I don't know if it's going to happen. My guess is they will go outside. But for him, why not go and immediately put your stamp on his program and do some different things? Get involved with the offense. I think it's great. I mean, the fact that they had such a tough loss to Nebraska and then bounced back and were able to win out at the Horseshoe. Now, this was not a great Ohio State team, but a win at the Horseshoe is a win at the Horseshoe. And I think it was real. I think he's trying to say, listen, this is my audition. I'm going to do whatever I can to get this job.
A win at the Horseshoe, especially when Ohio State had chances, and going back to that stand that they had, it was 4 straight cracks from inside the 2. Ohio State stops them. You think, okay, they're seizing momentum here. What's the Penn State defense do? They come back and force a turnover. I thought that was a huge point in the game.
Yeah, it was. I mean, Penn State's short yardage offense these last couple weeks really needs some work, especially when they are having so much success when they're spread out. What I liked about the Wildcat is you got Drake and Belton into the game, and previously we had almost never seen them all year. So here now you get two more playmakers in the game. It's just such a win-win. They're playing Beecham and Green. Stephon Green has run extremely well the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, four touchdowns in 2 weeks, is it for him?
Yeah, and he's been given a second shot.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's good to see him make the most of it.
Yeah, I was really surprised at that call. Bradley said he's out to win the game, but I mean, 3 shots in the line and then the 4th one into the line reminded me of the bowl game when Mike Goodman was playing Alabama. 4 tries in the line, but Goodman said Bradley said we're out to win this game, and I think they were determined to put it in. But if you'd have watched the Ohio State defense, they were bunched in there. I mean, if we'd have run something to the outside, I think we might have scored. But they did come back, and they still had their confidence to come back and won the game.
Do you think some of it was a statement? I mean, really, they could have lost, and they still would have been in position because Wisconsin had won earlier. That was kind of a win-win situation, or
absolutely. I think he wanted the defense or the offensive line to prove that it could get it done in that situation. But this offensive line and this offense is not built for that superpower type stuff. I mean, I suggested, in analyzing this thing, why not spread it out a little bit and let the back, you let one of these backs, a green or a red or a Wildcat, and let them find the spot that they want to go through. They tried the power running game the previous week against Nebraska, and it didn't work there as well.
Go ahead, Neil.
Well, what I was going to say is there was some big off-the-field news, of course, as it continues, that we're going to get to a little bit later. But just continuing on the game theme, I thought Anthony Farah won the game.
Yeah,
he struggled. He struggled the previous week, and coming through with 2 huge field goals. I mean, one matched a career long, then he set a career long, and his punting was outstanding. 3 inside the 20 out of 4 kicks.
They had no return yards on punts.
Yeah, and the whole field position thing, Penn State just dominated all game.
A kid who definitely deserves credit. If we could get back to Coach Bradley, and we saw the offensive versatility he had yesterday. The defense pitches a shutout. A big win for him. It's his first win as a head coach. And what are the impressions of Coach Bradley moving forward with the big one this week and then into the what we hope is a Big Ten championship game and a bowl game?
Well, what I give him a lot of credit for is he's moved from the defensive side of the ball to the offensive side of the ball, and he made Vanderlyn and Johnson coordinators on the defensive side. He spent a lot more time on offense, and he has a good feel for the offense. I mean, obviously, he's been designing these defenses for, 30 years now, so it's probably good that he gets an opportunity to change the offense around a little bit and sees things differently than we would.
Let's face it, too. I mean, this has been a media firestorm, and I think Tom has handled that situation perfectly. I mean, he's getting all kinds of different off-the-field questions, involving the scandal, and I think he's really handled those appropriately. And I think all the football things, you could tell, like as Mark said, he's been waiting for this opportunity. My guess it will be short-lived at Penn State, but at least he's getting so much experience and handling it tremendously.
Yeah, here's something to ponder, guys. If Penn State is able to win this game at Wisconsin, should Tom Bradley be considered for Big Ten Coach of the Year? And if you think about what his defense has done all year when it was his defense, they're leading the league in scoring defense. And if he's able to pull this thing together, I'm telling you, I think if I had a vote, I would vote for him for Big Ten Coach of the Year.
And that's if they beat Wisconsin and win the Big Ten?
I just think you beat Wisconsin and get into that game. It would be an amazing thing.
Well,
will he even be on the ballot, though?
Right in ballots.
When we looked at this at the beginning of the year, everybody went into the tail end of this schedule saying that we're going to lose all these games. He played well against Nebraska, and then they beat Ohio State out there. One big one coming up, and I know we're going to get our predictions later. But it is amazing how everybody was down on Penn State, and they were saying they don't belong in the Big Ten. They're not one of the premier teams in the Big Ten. Now next week we're fighting for the championship of the Big Ten. At least the opportunity to win the championship.
I think that speaks to the character of these players, these seniors. I think they've had tremendous leadership on this team. They had it a couple years ago with Clark and Lee, And what they've been through to have persevered like this has been truly impressive.
Certainly have, guys. Due for a break. When we come back, Neil alluded to it a little bit. Some more tough news out of Happy Valley this week. We're going to discuss Joe's latest obstacle next on the NitWits.
The NitWits are brought to you by Irwin Financial, a firm foundation for your financial future. Coldwell Banker, no one will work harder to sell your home. By Doctors Howells and Reed, orthodontics for children and adults. By the bookstore in the Park Hills Plaza, featuring the area's most complete selection of books, DVDs, and magazines. By Fiore True Value on 6th Avenue, Altoona. Just ask rental.
Hi, I'm Joey Sue, and you're watching the NitWits.
Welcome back. A tough couple weeks, obviously, at Penn State. An equally tough couple weeks for the Paterno family. Getting even worse this week with Scott Paterno announcing that his dad has a treatable form of lung cancer. Guys, the news just keeps getting worse.
Yeah, our thoughts and prayers are with Joe and his family. I mean, I can't imagine really what everybody's going through. I mean, this has just been, an unbelievable and wave of one piece of bad news after another in a real short period of time. And I just hope that everybody, can persevere and our prayers go out. I mean,
definitely.
Obviously there's, this has been all brought about by a scandal, and, I don't think we should lose sight of people that may have been really suffering for years and years over these allegations. But I just think that, this just keeps getting worse, and hopefully maybe being out of the day-to-day will give him an opportunity to at least relax some and
rest, hopefully, and get treated.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of anything else that's gone on, I think all of us have been touched by these awful diseases. And your heart does go out to Joe and his family and everybody else while they're dealing with this whole thing. And you really do hope that the pressure and strain of going through all this doesn't make the physical end of things that much more difficult for him.
He's had a bunch of health issues the last couple of years. I mean, this is sort of like the icing on the cake. I mean, he's fought through a lot of these injuries this year when he was in the press box, and now to have cancer. Fortunately, they say it's curable cancer, but I agree with your prayers go out for Joe. But there's a lot of other people said he's a fighter. He's 84 years old, so you can just keep, another round. He's got to battle through this, I guess.
One of the tough things with all of this, and from when Joe retired, and then the announcement comes out that he's battling lung cancer, is the way the players have found out about it. For statements to be put out before the players are told about it, these guys had heard about both of these things. The retirement, which became a firing, obviously, through social media, through Twitter, through all of these things. And how difficult must it have been for them as well to get off of the plane, and all their cell phones are lighting up, and Tom Bradley has to call a meeting and tells him what he knows. But this is just another situation where those poor players, you would hope that if anything else like this comes up, that people would have this common sense to say, hey, listen, we're going to let the players know about this first before we go putting out statements.
Yeah, thoughts and prayers definitely with Joe and his family. Elsewhere in Happy Valley, Penn State has hired Dr. David Joyner as its acting athletic director. A great athlete at the university. He's a great student as well. Neil, what are your impressions of the new hiring?
Well, he's one of their greatest ambassadors. They need to stop the bleeding. They don't have this is probably a whole show, but I don't know that they had the luxury of bringing in an outsider. Everybody's screaming for an outsider, but right now they need somebody whose heart is at Penn State. And I realize he was on the board, and I think a lot of that board is tainted by some of its tenure. So, to try to get the best player available, best coach available in there, he seems to me to be a reasonable choice. He seems to be a man of very high integrity. He's obviously a brilliant guy, who cares about Penn State?
They needed to get a quote-unquote acting athletic director in there. I mean, they had Sherburne in there as interim, and even at the Tom Bradley thing, to me, he looked like he was completely overwhelmed. He obviously did not take questions from the media. They need somebody to be the face of the athletic department through this very difficult time. And so far, we had an opportunity to talk to Dave Joyner out in the press box before the Ohio State game. The beat all kind of crowded around him, and I thought he handled himself real well. The one strange thing about this is the way they held that press conference to introduce him. It was at Schwab Auditorium, not near any athletic thing. It was real dark and crazy music beforehand and afterhand. Not crazy music, but just music. I don't know, Neil. What did you read? And was that a statement that this is an academic? What were they getting at there?
I had a theater class at Schwab Auditorium 30-some years ago, and I had not been in there since, so I didn't really mind it that much.
It brought you back.
It was odd. It was a big mix of national news media and the football beat, so I don't know. But I think it was good that he made himself available in the press box.
Shook hands, introduced himself to everybody, and I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's an excellent choice. But, what bothers me is everybody that has a Penn State background or ready to label has some kind of a tainted view on what's going on. I mean, Rodney Erickson, who's the acting president right now, came from the staff. Now you got a Dave Joyner, who's like, his career is impeccable. I mean, academically and every other way. So why not use him or not hire another Penn State guy because he's been on the staff? I think that's a mistake because Penn State is a strong community, and because of the actions of one individual, everybody's piling on and say we shouldn't use these people. But I don't have any problem. I mean, there's a lot of good people at Penn State University that don't get enough credit for what we do, and I think there's so many positives with Penn State that we should look for other Penn Staters, support one another when we can. And I think Dave Joyner will do a good job in searching out the right
Erickson
candidate.
is the president. That interim label was lifted. Whether Dave's going to put a search committee together pretty quickly, because we'll see what kind of a timetable that they're on as far as finding a new coach.
All right, guys, up against it. We'll step out for another quick break. When we come back, we look at the process in finding a new permanent head coach for the Nittany Lions. Does it include Tom Bradley? We'll discuss it next.
The NitWits are brought to you by Pacifico's Bakery, genuine Italian bread and rolls for your tailgating needs. By the Altoona Professional Hearing Aid Center, your hearing aid healthcare professional. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your cleaning needs.
Now back to NitWits. A roundtable look at Nittany Lion football.
All right, back here on the show, Penn State improves to 6-1 in the conference, 9-2 overall after Saturday's 20-14 win over Ohio State. We talked briefly about Tom Bradley and the job he's done thus far, earlier, the great job he's done thus far. The question, though, will he be in the talk when this search committee is implemented in finding a new head coach at Penn State?
Well, Dave Joyner was asked about that, and he basically said, any legitimate candidate who wants to be in will be obviously considered. Does he deserve to be it? Sure. I mean, he's been here for, 30-plus years. I guess the big question is going to be when all this stuff comes out about grand jury testimony and who knew what and that sort of thing. He's really, and rightfully so, not addressed any of those things about what he knew or did not know about the Jerry Sandusky situation, but I think that's obviously going to play into it.
Yeah, this is not a pimple on somebody's nose. This is the biggest scandal in sports history. So, fair or not, they're going to have to make a clean break, and I think that's unfortunate for this coaching staff. I don't know that they would get a better coach than Tom Bradley because in terms of all his connections, what he's showing you what he can do right now. I'm guessing the Urban Meyer thing has quelled. So the next pool of candidates, Tom might be better, but I just don't see how they're going to stay in-house.
I don't understand the clean break. I mean, when I look at the defensive side of the football down there, the coaching staff they have with Larry Johnson, Vanderlyn, and Bradley, I mean, if the new coach comes in, I think they should be open candidates to hire those guys. They've been there. They recruited a lot of those players, and you're seeing them respond now to Tom Bradley and some of the other coaches. So I don't know how you can say you're going to eliminate all those people. If they're the best candidate, and I guess you have to judge Tom Bradley at the end of the year and see what other kind of candidates you have. But somebody to come in and bring a whole new staff. I mean, Tom Bradley has a lot of close ties to some of the people on that team, as well as some of the other assistant coaches. So I'm not sure I agree a clean break deal. I don't mean to pow on, but
It's not the
you're
first
not
time.
right 100% of the time.
I
Anyway.
didn't say I was. I am the nitwit of the week.
Oh, got to throw that in there. Either way, it'll be interesting to see
You
how
might be the nitwit of the year. We knew you were King Nitwit
I
for
knew
a
I
long
shouldn't
time.
have given that opening to him.
The biggest game of the year, of course, is on tap for next Saturday in Madison. A trip to the inaugural Big Ten title game is on the line. We're going to break it down for you and give you our picks coming up next.
The Nitwits are brought to you by J&P Auto, home of the $1,000 push, pull, or tow. By Courtesy Motors of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal. By the Allegro, where fine cuisine is a way of life. By the easy-to-use Big Book. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State game day every Friday.
I'm Penn State's Chimo Coley, and you're watching the Nitwits.
Thank you, Chima. Back on the Nitwits. Guys, yesterday's win secures at least a share of the Big Ten title, sets up the huge season finale in Madison, which, of course, is this Saturday at 3:30. The winner will play Michigan State December 3rd for the championship. But first things first, how does this week play out, Mr. Brennan?
You know, Wisconsin's been outstanding at home. Miller, obviously a great quarterback. He's going to be the best quarterback that they've faced in a long time. He can run it. He can pass it. I know this has been a feel-good story. I'm going Wisconsin 21, Penn State 13. The good news, I've gotten the last two games completely wrong. I've picked the wrong team. So if you're a Penn State fan, that's good news.
He made a good point. This team is fantastic at home.
Yeah, it's Wilson.
Wilson, yeah.
Yeah.
Miller,
Sorry-
Wilson,
sorry
he's
to
great,
correct,
yeah.
yeah.
No, that's all right.
You know, Wisconsin's defense hasn't been all that good, but I think it's going to be a tough spot. I'm surprised. Penn State's getting 16 points as the line just broke. I think Penn State has played with a lot of character, but I'm going to pick Wisconsin 23, Penn State 17.
23-17. Okay. That's good. I've got
He's trying to figure it out.
We've gone through how many weeks now?
You guys
Get out
have to
the
take a break
calculator.
during the picks to figure.
Okay, if I could, just for the folks watching at home, my pick is written in there, but we never tell each other our picks before we come on the air, so I'm doing the math in my head, hoping that the pick that I have is not with these guys. But my pick is Wisconsin as well. They've played well at home this year. The offense is what it is, and I got Wisconsin 28-21 winners over Penn State. Mike, you're up.
Hey, logic would tell me I shouldn't pick Penn State, but
That's really coming to
I
play in
haven't
this
done that
show.
well as being the nitwit of the week. But I'm going to ride the wave. I mean, I know, Wisconsin has lost two games, one to Ohio State and one to Michigan State. So I'm hoping that Penn State can come up with a performance, and what a way for these kids to end their year.
Yeah, it
So
would be.
I want to ride the wave. I'm not sure. I'm not up for nitwit of the year honors anyway, so I'm going to go Penn State 20, Wisconsin 17.
In fact, mathematically eliminated, correct?
He's riding the wave and he's rehiring the staff.
That's all right. I'm a diehard.
That is loyal,
The
Mike.
updated standings as Neil has surged to a two football lead there. We are out of time in this week's edition of the Nitwits. We'll talk to you after the Wisconsin game next week. Good night, everybody.
The Nitwits are brought to you by Irwin Financial, a firm foundation for your financial future. Coldwell Banker, no one will work harder to sell your home. By Doctors Howells and Reed, orthodontics for children and adults. By The Bookstore in the Park Hills Plaza, featuring the area's most complete selection of books, DVDs, and magazines. By Fiore True Value on 6th Avenue, Altoona. Just Ask Rental. By Pacifico's Bakery, genuine Italian bread and rolls for your tailgating needs. By the Altoona Professional Hearing Aid Center, your hearing aid healthcare professional. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your cleaning needs. Your rehab choice, Health South Altoona. Ask for us by name. By J&P Auto, home of the $1,000 push, pull, or tow. By Courtesy Motors of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal. By the Allegro, where fine cuisine is a way of life. By the easy-to-use Big Book. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State game day every Friday. You can also see the NitWits on AltoonaMirror.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.